Leaders of NATO's member states are due to meet shortly outside London in a search for unity amid division. They were hosted by the Queen at Buckingham Palace to mark the 70th anniversary of the alliance's founding. But it was a show of harmony after a renewed airing of differences between the French and American presidents. The spat started at a news conference with President Trump in his new role as defender of NATO after having long been its main critic.
Would you like some nice ISIS fighters?
Look,
I can give them to you. You can take everyone you want.
Let's be serious.
A not quite cordial, combative tone pervaded the news conference with U.S. President Donald Trump and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron at the NATO meeting in London on Tuesday. Trump sharply rebuked Macron for saying in an interview with the magazine The Economist last month that, quote, "What we are currently experiencing is the brain death of NATO."
It's a very tough statement to make when you have such difficulty in France. You look at what's happened with the yellow vests, or you look at what's going on during certain parts of their season. They've had a very rough year. And you just can't go around making statements like that about NATO. It's very disrespectful.
Macron, however, did not back down.
I know that my statements created some reactions and shake a little bit. A lot of people. I do stand by.
The two leaders seem to have differing visions of the role of NATO.
Nobody needs NATO more than France. And frankly, the one that benefits really the least is the United States. We benefit the least. We're helping Europe.
It's impossible just to say we have to put money, we have to put soldiers, without to be clear on the fundamentals of what NATO should be. And this is not the case today.
Another of the alliance's big players, German Chancellor Angela Merkel, remained upbeat about NATO.
With all of the differences, that of course we'll have to discuss them, we have to talk about the future of NATO and the strategic partnership. I'm fairly optimistic about this meeting.
Optimism alone, however, will not be enough to bridge the divide within the alliance.
Now, DW correspondent and NATO expert Terry Schultz joins us now from London. Terry, after a day with so much acrimony, including Trump again taking aim at Germany, what is planned for day 2 of the summit?
Amrita, today is the official meeting where all 29 leaders will gather together and approve a document that has already been set up for this meeting by the ambassadors in Brussels. Now, yesterday, as we saw, President Trump took the opportunity to turn photo ops into full-blown press conferences. And today he meets Chancellor Merkel along with the Italian and Danish prime ministers and may do the same thing again. The meeting itself has been pared down to just 3 hours long, choreographed around Trump's behavior, trying to minimize the opportunity for him to hijack it for his own purposes.
Now, we are looking at live pictures as we're talking. The summit, the meeting is about to start. I believe it's a 3-hour-long meeting, which is a closed-door meeting, so we'll obviously only hear after the meeting what has come out. But one thing all NATO leaders seem to agree is to come up with a new position on China. Is Beijing emerging as a major new threat for the alliance?
It's not just a new position. It's the first time that NATO has ever taken stock of its relationship with China. And the alliance itself admits it is behind on doing this. As China has been rising both militarily, technologically, economically, NATO has never basically staked out how it feels about China, what its relationship is with China. So it very much wants to portray itself as a partner and not an enemy. They don't see China the same way they do Russia, for example. But this is the first time that all aspects of potential relationships with China will be put together in a single document that will be released today.
And we're seeing all these 29 NATO members standing together for a family photo as ceremonies are underway just before the start of their 3-hour meeting. Now, Jens Stoltenberg, the Secretary General, remains very upbeat about the future of NATO, saying it's agile, it's active, and it's adapting to new challenges. How important is it for the alliance to come out of that meeting and put on a show of complete unity?
It's extremely important, but it's also extremely unlikely. You heard comments from President Trump, President Macron ahead of this meeting, taking very different views on NATO, with, in fact, a role reversal in President Trump defending the alliance and calling it insulting for Macron to say it's brain dead. You've got the Germans who, of course, have come out more strongly in favor of NATO's role, saying it's the only military alliance for Europe. So we're going to hear a variety of views in the press conferences after the meeting, but it is unlikely that everyone will have sort of packaged up their dissenting views and tied it with a bow for NATO's birthday. I don't think that's going to happen.
Right. For now, though, they're all standing together, united for this family photo that is taking place just before the start of the meeting. Terry Schultz in London, thank you very much for that update on the NATO anniversary meeting.